Hello, hello, it's Wednesday. Yay! We're back, we're live, we're here in Portland, and I want to know where you are, so type that in. I'm Teacher Michelle, and I'm glad you're joining us today. If you are a first timer to joining us live for the first time, type that in there. Let us know that, because we would like to make you welcome, and the Tulip Bunch is a very friendly crowd, aren't you? Yar. All right. If you're watching on your phone, turn it sideways and you can have a bigger picture. Swipe the comments out of the way if you want less distraction on screen. I'm typically enough distraction. You don't need anything else going on. In the studio today, we have Leanne. She's going to be talking to you on probably YouTube and Facebook, I'm guessing. And Ricky's running tech for us. And of course, you might hear a little groan or giggle or snort. That's none of us. Could be, but it's not. It's just Iro. So we're blaming it on the dog, even if it isn't. Out in Cyberland, of course, you have Susie with you on YouTube and Caledonia on Facebook. Dove is out there. I'm sure Michael is out there. I know David is out there. And Annie may pop on too. Who knows? It probably will be a full house. So today we are talking about armatures. Armatures. I just like to say that word. It's kind of fun. But sometimes if you say a word too many times, it just loses meaning. It's just a sound. Well, this one definitely has meaning. When we talk about an armature, we're talking about something, could be natural, could be man-made, that gives support to the florals in our design. So natural could be branches. If you think about ikebana, we have kubari that we wedge into a vessel to support some of the branches. Man-made, we might have something like chicken wire, right? Or floral netting or poultry mesh, whatever you like to call it. We use that to create an armature. It's a mechanic, but in essence, when we take chicken wire and we crumple that up and we wedge it down into a vessel, we have created an armature. It is a structure that will support our flowers, right? Plus, if I wanted to do a man-made armature, something like, knocking everything over, 2 minutes in and I'm trashing the set. That's what happens when Leanne lets me out of here for a while. I get crazy. Taking something like curly willow. These are curly willow tips and they're nice and fresh, so they're very pliable. But taking something like this and, excuse me, working those thicker ends, breaking them down a little bit. I don't want a hard crease like that in it if I can avoid it. I'd like to have just a more supple branch that I can work with. But taking those, wrapping them around, maybe feeding them through even, kind of tying a little knot with it, and then placing that down into a vessel to support my flowers and foliage. That is not cooperating. That is also an armature. So, quite often we're doing designs with armatures and we really don't even think about it. We just wad something up and shove it in a vessel and off we go. Well, today I do want to talk about armatures, and I want to look at some different kinds of armatures. Now, if you've been here before and you know me, you know I like my wire. So we're going to have some wire armatures today, and we're also going to have some man-made ones. So before we get started with that, do we have anybody chiming in saying hello this morning or this afternoon? Could be morning, depending on where you are, I suppose.
You've got a first timer. Aliana is joining us for a first time.
Oh, very good.
Exciting. And then you've got a lot of people here. Dennis is packing his bags, going to get to Portland tomorrow.
Nice, very good.
And, oh my gosh, so many names. I'm not going to go through them all, but there is a whole mess of them here.
Well, good.
And then Sherry just signed up for basic floral design. It just pops through on my computer. So
Oh, fantastic.
that will set you up in an hour.
Yes, so give us an hour to finish live, Sherry, and Leanne or I will have you into your lessons just like that. I'm so glad you're going to join us for that. And it was Ileana, that's our first time? Aliana, well, welcome. Tulips, please make her feel welcome so that she comes back and visits with us on Wednesdays from 3 to 4 Pacific every week, almost every week. So I'm going to move my little, maybe I'm not. There we go. Turntable. And then the first armature I want to talk about with you folks today is this one. It kind of looks like a lotus flower. Don't really know that it's going to show up super, oh yeah, it kind of does in the close-up camera. It's about 8 inches in diameter. And I created that with the Oasis aluminum wire. Very simple. This would be wonderful for prom. You know, prom bouquets are very popular, but sometimes you just want to zhuzh it up a little bit, right? Elevate it a little bit. Or perhaps the budget isn't that great. They still want something that's big and showy, but they don't have funds for expensive flowers. So maybe we were using carnations and alstroemeria or stock, something like that. This can just help elevate that. You could also make this out of the rustic or barked wire, which would give you a very different look and feel to it. Much more rustic, a la the name of the wire. A little less blingy. So I'm going to make one out of the rustic wire, just so you can kind of see my process. And then I'll let you guys pick which one you want me to design with. Choices, I'm giving you choices. Oh, Michelle's being so nice today. So this is really scientific at this point. As you know with me by now, it's not terribly scientific. I'm just picking, I don't know, 5, 7, 12 rings here, just those different rings of the wire. And I'll give it a cut. Slide that out of the way. And then what I want to do is find my 2 cut ends. So I have one right here, and then that one I just cut. Might be a little long, but that's okay. So then I'm going to take one of those cut ends, and I am going to tightly wrap that into the middle section, securing all those rings together. And then I'll take that other one and do the exact same thing, wrapping it tightly. And this does 2 things. It keeps those rings from sliding all around. And if I am in fact making a hand-tied bouquet with this, it also gives me a handle to work with. Ta-da, look at that. So now what I'm going to do is just fold these rings out so I can see them. It's going to look kind of like a slinky. If you don't know what a slinky is, Google it. And then once I get them opened up a little bit, I'm just going to take them and pull them, move them out in opposite directions, almost like I'm fluffing a bow with loops going in different directions. Sorry, y'all, I have a tickle today. Leanne and I just been talking too much. That's our problem.
I know, we've been having too much fun.
Too much fun at flower school. Who'd have thunk that flower school?
While you kind of work and rest your throat for a second, we've got a couple of things I just want to point out. Carol is joining the Flower Lovers Club as soon as live is over. So good job, Carol. Wait till live is over.
Yay!
But she's joining us. And then I do want to just do a shout out to Isabella. She comes to us from Australia, and she reached out to let me know that anything we ever need, she's there to help. And you know what, Isabella? If it weren't for tulips like you that are always there to have our back, you're all the best. So thank you. So tulips, we need your help always. So thank you, Isabella.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you all. I agree with Leanne. Tulips are awesome. You guys are just the best. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking those loops and pulling them out, making them a little elongated, and then I'm randomly finding a section, piece of the section there, and I'm just pinching it, giving it kind of a point like on a petal. Now you could leave this rounded too if you wanted. I just think it looks a little more polished, even with the rustic wire, when it has a little bit of a point to it. So you end up with something kind of like that. Very similar to the glitzy one, a little bit bigger, had a few more loops on it. And then I can come back in and form these. I can put a little more of a bend so they feel more petal-like. And I can put a little twist into the top if I want to add a little more dimension to those petals. That's the beauty of wire. It is so forgiving. You get to do whatever you want with it. Now, this could also drop into the neck of a vase, which I didn't grab. And it could rest on the neck of the vase, and you could use that to support your flowers. I'm going to use it more in a hand-tied situation. So, now that you've seen both of them, which should I use? Should I go with the copper or with the brown? Type it in. First majority in gets to pick which one I use to design with today.
They thought you were going to do your stomp technique when they saw all the wire.
I know, look at that. I didn't stop. Am I stomping at all today? Nope, I'm not. Who'd have thunk, right? So anybody have an opinion as to which color, the copper or the brown?
You know, it's close, but I'm thinking copper is winning.
Copper is winning?
I'm like, there's another rustic,
Okay.
but one wants gold, but I think that's the camera visibility. I think it's copper.
Yep. It's not brown. Let's go with that. All right. Well, we'll let the rustic one rest. We can use that some other time.
Yeah, it looks like copper's the winner.
Copper's the winner. Okie dokie. Well, I can't complain about that because y'all know I like my shiny things. So this one has a much shorter handle or stem on it. That's fine because once I start putting the flowers in, pardon me, they're going to give me the support that I need for that bouquet. So I'm thinking some of these gorgeous garden roses and maybe some tulips. Why not, right? Why not with tulips? And I've got some bunny tail and some fun little goom. All right, I think that'll work. We'll just get started with some of those. So while I'm working on this, question for you guys. How was Mother's Day? Are you upright or are you still laying down in bed watching this? Type in there, tell us how your Mother's Day went. What I'd like to know is, what was your biggest seller or your most requested item? Was it a bouquet? Was it a gift basket? Was it lotions and potions? What was it that your customers were requesting the most this year? So these are Constance garden roses, I believe, and it's quite toasty in the studio, and they are opening up beautifully. They're luscious. Garden roses are such a treat. Yes, they are expensive, we know that, but they are so long lasting, and you get fragrance. Oh yeah, you're gonna laugh, but it smells like soap. Rose-scented soap. But I remember being a child and visiting an elderly woman's house, and she had the cutest little soaps in her bathroom, and they smelled like roses. And now when I smell the roses, I think they smell like soap, not the other way around. But neither here nor there. All right, so I have my armature, and I think I'm going to start with that little fella right there. He's going to tuck in nicely. And I'm just going to weave these through the stems, or the petals rather, I guess. Weave the stems through the petals of the design. Now you could do this as a true weave, going left, right, front, back. You could spiral your stems if you need to move the petals around. Totally do that. It's fine. That's the beauty of that wire. Work those through. Guess I should have prepped my tulips before I did that. get rid of some of this excess. Aren't these just lovely? These were local tulips. I was really excited to still see those. Our market here in Portland is just starting to come alive with all the beautiful local flowers. I really wanted to see how much of a limit Leanne had on the company credit card at market this morning, because there were so many peonies, and I thought she might fire me if I bought all the peonies that I wanted, at least on the company card. But and then I walked out with none. I didn't get any peonies, so I was being very disciplined, I guess. So remember, with tulips, they continue to grow, right? Tulips never stop growing. That's capital T tulip, as well as the flower tulip. They grow about the height of their head every 24 hours-ish, plus or minus. And you need to take that into consideration when you're designing with them, because if you don't, you can end up with this crazy thing going on with the tulips, not where you really wanted them. So just a reminder, we still have these fun bunny tails. I just love these little bunny tails. So I think we're gonna tuck those in as well. And I'm going to use some of that aluminum wire to bind off the bouquet, finish off the bouquet, if you will. So I'm going to cut that now. And like I always tell you, curl those ends, no raw ends. Don't want to hurt myself. All right, got that ready to roll. And maybe a little bit of foliage. How about some wheat? What do you guys think? Some fresh green wheat? I saw that they had that in our local market this morning. Just kind of playful. A little different texture.
Such a great color.
It is. This just looks like sherbet here to me, with the orange and the pinky tones. And here we go, talking about food again. So has anybody commented on what their best sellers were, or their most popular designs for Mother's Day?
You know, it's interesting. It seems that Mother's Day was good. Mm-hmm. Raindrop and Roses was, I think that's Brooke, was surprised how many red roses they sold.
Real red? Okay,
That
somebody.
was not what they expected.
Yeah.
And then Kathy said that they based it on last year, but this year far more people ordered Designer's Choice. Yay.
Yay! Good. Maybe people are catching on that when you just let us do what we love, it's going to be beautiful. I always love that. You'll make it pretty, right? It's like, nope, I specialize in ugly. So yeah, just let us do what we do. We know what to make. We know how to make it beautiful. And maybe a couple pieces of ruscus. Give us a little bit of
Dennis said
structure.
it was his second biggest day in sales, but he still didn't reach his goals, which that's always frustrating. When
Yeah.
you're doing so great, but you still don't quite get where you want to be.
Dennis, were they stretch goals? Were they something you were aiming for that was higher than last year? Or was this just an achievable goal and you just didn't quite get there? I know some of my friends have said that they were anticipating a much bigger holiday. They still sold more than they did last year, but they felt like they could have sold more than they sold last year. More and more. Is that a thing? More and more?
So this is an interesting one. Wednesday Bouquet, Seasonal Floral and Home Decor, did more unusual containers like cowboy boots.
Oh, really? Where are you located? I wonder if that's a regional thing or just, I don't know. That sounds fun, though. I like unusual things. I think it's beneficial to us and our customers when we can expose them to different things, whether that's different flowers or different design techniques or different vessels, right? Different containers. I love the little bend in that. Now, I did say, remember those tulips, they grow. I don't mind in this instance if they decide to kind of wig out on me and pop out. I think that would be all right. Did she say where she's located with her
I haven't seen
cowboy
it yet.
cowboy boots?
No.
All right, I ended up with those all in a line. That wasn't what I wanted. Worked in my head, didn't work in practicality. So armatures really can serve two purposes, right? They can be wholly decorative, not really having a purpose beyond being pretty, and they can also be functional. And they're not mutually exclusive. They can be pretty and functional, or they can just be functional, aka the chicken wire or floral netting that is in a vessel, or functional and pretty would be the curly willow shoved into the clear vase. Gives you both. Doesn't mean it has to be one or the other, which I think is nice. You can have ketchup and mustard on your hot dog, right? I'm not loving the wheat in there. What do you guys think? I think I'd rather have the bunny tail. Bunny tail or wheat? I think bunny tail.
So I believe Dove is online with us. And
Okay.
Dove, I'm speaking to you. Dove, are you listening to me? Dove, this message is for you. Will you open up? And we have a chat that came in that needs to speak Spanish. And I know you can do this. So
Yay.
Dove, go there now. Go.
Isn't the interweb great? We can just talk to people and we can't see them. All right, I'm gonna add another.
Dove's going to turn his speaker off.
Oh, very good, very good.
Dan's like, she's in my ear.
I don't need to hear this. All right, I'm gonna tuck another one of these in here. Lost that little guy in the center, and then maybe a couple of these.
You got one tulip that's about to.
Oh no! I killed him. I'm sorry, Iro. I know, it's disappointing, isn't it? Well, we're just gonna run with the 3 that are in there right now. I will not kill another one today.
So Jim wants to know, how early do you have to go to the flower market?
Great question, Jim. It depends on what you need, I guess I would say. Our Portland Flower Market opens at 5:30, and if it's what we call a market day, meaning Monday or Wednesday, you have the best chance of finding new product, fresh product from our local growers, and I would recommend getting there first thing. It's first come, first served. Our local growers are in what we call our middle market area, and it's whatever they feel like growing. If you've pre-ordered things and you're just going to pick up, then it doesn't really matter because your rep at the wholesale house is going to have set those aside for you, and basically you're just picking up those items. But if you are trying to fill your whole order, if you have a customer order or it's an event, you're going to want to get there as early as humanly possible so that you can pick from what they have available and make sure you get what you need. Now, here's my teacher tip for you. If you're working on something like a wedding or a big event, do a pre-order. Work with your local wholesaler and get those items ordered in advance. Doesn't mean you can't go and pick them up yourself day of and get a little more of something. I always like to go to the middle market and get a little texture is what I call it. That's where I can pick up fun things like the wheatgrass, or maybe I decide, gosh, I really would like some bunny tail. I wonder if they have it in in fresh or in a different color. This is that mocha mousse that we have as our color of the year this year. And it just pairs so prettily with these peachy and pink tones. And then I'm going to use a couple Fatsia under here. Have some sweet little ones to collar around this. Gosh, I think I'm just going to use 2 of them. Well, my hands will cooperate. I'll just use 2. If not, we're going to use 3. This one's quite a bit larger, though. We'll see if it... Nah, it's all right. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. Iro has comments for me today, for sure.
He just wants to be included.
I
today.
see that. Oh, and I think I'm
He
gonna...
sleeps.
Yeah. We always joke because if you've been with us before, you know I'm not the quiet teacher. And somehow he manages to sleep through live when I'm doing it. But today he wants to participate. I think it needs these little... Leanne, pronounce this for me again. It's
Jim.
Jim.
Jim, yeah.
Geum, I believe. And I just call it those pretty little flowers.
They are just exquisite. Ironically, I think it's one of the ones that we need for our flower library, a photo too.
Oh,
So
well, very
save
good.
2 or 3.
I will not
perfect
use them
ones.
all then. All right. I will be controlled with my usage. Not usually.
I was gonna say, when did that start?
Yeah, well, you know. Thought I'd turn over a new leaf. Ha 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 ha. There we go. We'll just tuck a few of those in. Just a few, because we can. Gives it a little more bounce, a little more playful edge to it. Pop up a few more of those bunny tails. I like it weedy tweedy. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is maybe, there we go, grab just a little bit of corsage tape and use that to secure those stems together a little bit at the top. I could get away without doing it in all honesty, but I'd like to just make sure that those Fatsia stay placed where I want them. Pull a page out of Teacher Jerry's book here. Oh, that one just does not. See, I said I wanted him to stay and now he doesn't want to do it. Typical flower. There we go. Let's get a few of those tightened up in there. And then I can come back with my gold wire or copper colored wire and use that to give me a little decorative finish here. It looks like I'm going to need more than what I cut. So I think what I will do is just hold off on that, and then after live today, I will finish that one up with a slightly longer piece of the gold, copper, keep calling it gold. Somebody called it gold earlier, so now I have gold on the brain. Some of that copper. Give those stems a quick cut. And I have just a sweet little bouquet. This would be great for prom. This could be fun for a wedding. You could drop this into a vase also and use it as a vase arrangement or as a hand tie, either way. But having some little extension with the goom and the bunny tail has some nice movement, but it's very lightweight, it's very compact and secure, and it's fast. You saw how quickly the one with the rustic wire went together. So I'm going to set this one out of the way for now. And we'll take a look at another one. This one I am going to use the the aluminum wire to put together. Now, if you find armatures are appealing or interesting, check out our Flower Lovers Club because we do have some in there. And we also teach armatures in our basic and our advanced classes, as well as the bouquets to carry and flowers to wear. So within those courses, we have a couple segments that deal with armatures, and they're different than the ones I'm showing you today. So it's a win-win. So what I have here are, I believe I counted 13 when I counted earlier, 13 pieces of that same copper aluminum wire. It's the Oasis brand, it's 12 gauge wire, and you could do this with any color, honestly, but copper is what I grabbed when I went down the aisle. Plus it went with the flowers I picked out today, so that's part of it. And I have about a 24-inch length. This one's a little longer, this one's a little bit shorter, but I average out at about 24 inches on those. Honestly, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be exact. And then I took a bamboo skewer. This one had already been painted gold, so it saved me some effort of painting it a metallic color. And I just took a little section of that. This is just going to give me some extra support in here as I put this together. I call this a wine glass because that's kind of what it looks like when we're all done. But you'll see as we go along. So I'm taking a glue dash that sticks beautifully to my finger and not to what I want it to. And what I'm going to do is just stretch it. There we go. Stretch it down the length of that bamboo skewer, making it sticky the whole way as it sticks to my fingers.
So while you're doing that, Dennis is talking online, wanting to know how to get to the flower market, blah, 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 because he'll be here.
Sure.
And Dennis, it truly is an Uber trip as opposed to the bus.
Oh my gosh.
The bus does go directly from where you're staying to there, but not conveniently. And once you're there, it's still another 4 or 5 or 6 blocks to the direct. And I personally, I know people who do it by bus, but it is not a comfortable bus ride. I think it would be an Uber ride. Realistically, it's only 5 miles, but Uber is probably going to be between $15 and $20, depending on what time of day you go. Friday, they sell out because they are closed Saturday and Sunday, so it's not going to be a great day to look around. So then my question would be, is if you're still here on Tuesday, you would be better off to go on Tuesday, or Monday, they open at 6 a.m., you could do it before class on Monday.
Absolutely.
And there'd be plenty to see. So Friday isn't gonna be your best opportunity, but it's better than nothing. But no matter what, I would say Uber is going to be your better option. I know I Ubered that so many times when I was car-free, and I would never do the bus. It was just too complicated. And I'm a bus rider, but that was way too complicated.
All right, so what I did, I used this is just a hand towel to slide down the cut pieces of wire to straighten them out, take out any little kinks. I want them the same length on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is nestle this little chunk of bamboo skewer that has U-glue on it into the middle of my bundle of aluminum wires. Try and scoot those around to the front so I can hide it a little bit. Tap those down, try and get them all as even as possible. And my my bamboo skewer is about the width of my hand, so that's where that is in there. That's just giving me some more support. And what I'm going to do then is take one of my short ones, because I don't really want to give up a nice long one, and try and move it out to the edge. And then I am going to use this to secure this bundle together. So get a nice firm grip on it, and then I am going to make sure I've got that bamboo skewer covered. Those lights are super handy today. Okay, there we go, a little higher up. Scoot that up, and start my wrap. And I'm just going to do nice, tidy, in theory, concentric rings. Banding is what I'm doing. Banding down the aluminum
Maybe
stems.
too late, but is there any way to show a close-up of the U-glue?
Not the one that I have that I'm working with because it's buried inside. But I can show you what a U-glue dash looks like if
I
you want.
think maybe even just show where you're wrapping, just so they can see that. We missed it because it went too fast. I was like, ah!
So I took that little section of the bamboo skewer that had the U-glue dash on it, and I laid it into the bundle of aluminum wire, and then just moved the aluminum wire around so it conceals that skewer. I don't really want to see it in here. It's just to give me a little more structural support than the aluminum wire would give me.
So there's nothing to see.
There's really nothing to see, yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then I'll put a little bend on the end of that so I don't hurt myself. Tamp that down. All right. So now what I can do, and again, I probably should have wrapped a little bit farther down. I can cut some of that skewer out, so that really isn't too concerning. So this is the bottom of my design. I've got one that shifted on me a little bit there, so I'm going to trim him. And this is going to form the foot of my vessel, if you will. And so I'm just taking these aluminum wires and bending them out. Well, you're going to see that bamboo skewer with the U-glue on it because it's nice and long, longer than I needed, but I can snip it out at the end. That's quite all right. Only you and I will know, and don't tell anyone, okay? So I'm just taking these aluminum wires out. Get rid of some of that excess U-glue there that we don't need. And I want to make them fairly even when I have them splayed out like this. So there's that skewer that I had in there. I'm just going to pop in and nip that out. Woo! Cover your eyes. And what that gives me is a base to my vessel, my design. Now, lots of options at this point. I can come in and curl the ends of the wires on the base. That would give me an interesting kind of octopus feel at the bottom. I could leave them out straight. Not my favorite because you know that leaves a raw end on that wire. So what I'm going to do is come in and cut them just a little bit shorter. If I can get my hands in there, so bear with me while I shorten these up.
While you're doing that, just a shout out to Carla. She wants to come back to Portland. She misses us so much, and she wants to go up and see the Japanese garden.
Oh my gosh,
And
yes.
then shout out to Lisa, who's online with us, who will be joining me in Florida to help with my program presentation.
Oh, fantastic! Yay! 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 Yes, Leanne, when is that? Give yourself a shout out on that. Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Okay, the actual program is on Sunday, June 8th, but I plan to be there the 5th through the 8th for their entire event. So
Oh,
it's
good.
pretty fabulous.
Awesome.
All of June 5 through 8.
June 5 through 8. Excellent. All
And
right.
I think they still have their early bird discount. If you can join me, come play.
And that's at the Florida State Florist Association?
Florida State Floral Association, and it's at the Margaritaville Resort in Orlando.
Oh my gosh, have fun!
Fins up, or left, fins left, what is it they say?
Fins up, yeah.
I'm the nerd queen, I don't know these things.
Oh, you will know it all by the time you leave Margaritaville, I am quite certain. That's fun. Well, that's a great location, I think, for something like that.
I think so. They put a lot of work in this. I'm impressed with Florida State's board. They do a really good job.
Nice. So if you're in the area, if you're in the South, somewhere close to Florida, you can see Leanne live and in person at the Florida State Florist Association this year. She's one of the presenters, so that's kind of fun.
Cheryl's planning to be there. She says it's only like 30 minutes from her house.
Well, good.
Oh my gosh, we'll be besties.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is come in and I'm just taking the wire, turn it so you guys can see it, that aluminum wire, and I'm just running my finger down and putting a little bend in it. Now I can make that bend come down wider. I can have the bend come up taller. Doesn't really matter. Do kind of want to keep them in order if I can. I don't want the wires crossing. It looks a little messy. It wouldn't be a functional issue, just more of an aesthetic issue. And I don't have to go in order necessarily. But what I'm ending up with, do you guys remember going to like your county fair, your state fair, and they have that little, it's like a head scratcher thing that kind of fits on your head and kind of scratches? Nod if you know what I'm talking about. But it's kind of what this looks like when you're done, but it just makes an interesting armature to support my floral. And the cool thing about this particular technique is it's very scalable. I can make this much smaller. I could make the section that I coiled, the stem area, if you will, I could make it much taller. I could use 30 pieces of aluminum wire or 100 pieces of aluminum wire. It really doesn't make a difference. It just changes how big or how small or how tall or how wide it is. So for me, that's kind of fun. It's a technique that I can adjust to fit whatever size or structure that I want. And then I can come in and maybe make them a little wider. And if you've played with aluminum wire, you know it's pretty darn forgiving, which is very nice. And I'm being very careful not to poke my head down too far because I don't want to poke my eye out. But as you noticed, I also pulled some hypericum berries off the stem, and that's going to give me a little support for that. Now, if I had some really fun, funky flowers, maybe they didn't have any ranunculus at market today that spoke to me, but instead of the hypericum, I could use button palms. I could use instead of hypericum, I could use button palms. I could use ranunculus. I could use lots of different things to pierce onto the top of my wires. And I'm going through and making these links a little bit random. Just because I think it's more interesting than if they're all at that exact same height. Now, you could also coil these if you wanted that curled look, you know, when you can do little concentric circles with it, or just put a little hook, excuse me, a little bend in the end. That would work as well. But here, what I'm going to do is just work with the hypericum and my cold glue, my Oasis Floral Adhesive, and I'm going to put just a little dab, little dot of it basically, on the top of each of those wires. Now, I really wouldn't need to do it. It's going to secure the hypericum berries on better, but honestly, they would stay in place. This is not a bouquet to carry. This would be something that I might use on a counter or a table. It is definitely event work in this case because I'm not going to have a water source with it. So I want to use materials, fresh materials that are going to last nicely for me without having a water source. So now I can just take those hypericum berries, he's a little small, and pierce them onto the top. That gives me protection and it just gives an interesting finish to it. If I had a lot of the Hypericum berries, I could thread the whole wire with them. I could just keep adding one on top of the other and stack them down that aluminum wire. Threading it would be the technique, and that could be very interesting. You would take a lot, let me tell you, it would take a lot of bunches to do the full lengths of these wires, but it could be quite spectacular. On a smaller one, it could be a little more cost effective to do it that way. I'm not going to thread them all on this one today, but just a few to get those ends covered. And one more big one. So this has a very, very Sputnik feel to it today with this particular size that I've created and the openness within it. A little less, the technique, I think of it as a wine glass when I'm building it, just because this is more of a brandy snifter, if we're going to stick with that analogy of beverage containers. And then what I'd like to use in the base are just a few Gaelic leaves. And I'm going to use them to conceal the mechanics. Now, I just want a couple, having them overlap a little bit so that I can use glue to secure any floral product into the bottom. And I just want to make sure it's not bleeding through. So this gives me just a little bit of a lily pad, if you will. And what I'm going to do is place a dab of glue, that's more a puddle, it turned out, into the center of that wire. And then I'm going to put a little bit on each of the wires. Now, some of you are probably saying, well, why don't you just put it on the back of the Gaelic leaf, Michelle? Well, I could do that, but I don't know where it's going to line up with the wire. So if I just scribble the glue on the back of the leaf, if you were to pick it up and look at the underside of it, you potentially would see that glue, and I don't want that to happen. So instead, I'm just placing the glue on the wires themselves.
You're so smart.
I'm so smart. Sometimes I'm smart.
If you're a really good boss, they'd send you to Palm Springs for Mid-Century Watering Week, because this would be perfect for that.
Wouldn't it? It would totally be good for that. All right, so then I've got that pair of leaves. I've just nestled the two ends, overlapping the lobes on those leaves. And then I'm just going to tuck that down into the center here. Now, keep in mind, I need to allow that glue to dry a little bit in reality, but honestly, you're not going to sit here and watch glue dry, literally watch glue dry. So I'm going to rush it a little bit so that I can keep going, but I'll hold this up here to the close-up camera so you guys can kind of see what I did. There's the underside. Now this is not terribly, it's not terribly labor intensive. You might think, well, it sure looks like it, Michelle. But I'm also talking while I'm doing it, so it's not as if I were just powering through and making this. The thing I like about this is it doesn't take a lot of product. Now, if I had threaded multiple Hypericum all the way down, yeah, it'd take a little more product. But the way this is structured, it's not going to take a ton of product to make something look very interesting. So I think I will move to our sweet little miniature Zymbidiums. Aren't these just the cutest little things ever? They are just so happy and healthy. This is a big stem of them too, which is very nice. And then I have a few, and for the little ones, a couple leaves. And Leanne, this has left my brain. Is it Calathea? Calathea?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Tulips, do y'all remember what this is? Because it has left my pea brain. I do not remember.
Calathea, but I don't think so. It seems so little.
Yeah.
But I guess you got a baby Calathea.
I don't know. Could be babies. So I'm trimming the stems off. I don't really need those. I just want that texture, that color. And I'm using 2 of the, looking for some water, there we go. Using a glue dash and cutting it in half because I really don't need very much. I just want to tack these leaves onto my center here. So just a little bit. And I'm going to nestle that one under the lobe of the Calyx leaf, and then take that second one and do the same thing. Just give it a little contrast. And I'm going to put them off together. I'm not going for symmetry here. He's going to make an escape out the side, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And then I'll take a couple of, or 3 or 5, we'll start with a couple of the...
Dennis says it is Calathea.
Okay.
So you might have had it right. Yay!
Yay me! Yay for the win! Take a trio, I think. We'll start with a trio of those lovely little miniature Zymbidiums, and I'll put this stem back to use for something else.
Brooke goes Calathea too. We have some other guesses, but I think Calathea is correct.
Okay, well good. Then I wasn't totally wrong.
You are there.
And then same drill here. I'll put a little bit of the Oasis Floral Adhesive on the cut end of that orchid. 1, that's what's going to glue it in place, and 2, the adhesive acts to seal over that wound, if you will, and help the orchid last longer. And I'm also reflexing them a little bit, trying to open up their little faces so you can see them. Now, the color of the throats of the orchids is repeated in the color of the Hypericum. Oh, I'm backwards. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm pulling some of that creamy ivory white tone out of the throat of the orchid with the Hypericum. And then I grabbed a little more Hypericum that I can tuck in with these at the base just to repeat it. So I have some continuity within the piece. So this is an armature. It is decorative and it is functional. And orchids are social, so I want to place them so their little faces are in towards the center, talking to each other. Slide that third one in. Kind of look like little baby birds with their mouths open, waiting for mama to feed them.
I'm so hungry.
I'm so hungry, feed me Hypericum. So then I'll take just a few of these Hypericum berries on their stem, and I'm going to use a little bit of the adhesive here and tuck some of those in. Again, in reality, I would let that glue cure up a little bit before I start poking them in, but I'm not going to wait that long. Through the magic of television, we're just going to steam ahead. Tuck a couple, I guess there are 3 on this stem, maybe off to the side over here. Siri's over there talking to me now. I love it. I love it. All right, so very minimal materials. The focus really is on the armature, the structure. I could get really creative. I could come in and move every other one of these in a little bit if I wanted. The possibilities are endless. You know, and if you've had me in class, you'll hear me say, play with your food, right? Play with your food, experiment, play with things, see what works, see what you like, see what you don't like. I don't know if I can get that in the close-up. But I know Ricky will get some awesome photos for you guys to see. But again, minimal materials, interesting little armature structure. This could be a centerpiece too, right, on a table, because it takes up a lot of space. And we sell space, right? It's not just this little blob of flowers. This is the whole piece at this point. So I'm going to move this one aside. And then I want to show you this final one. So this is a trellis, if you will. Let me grab a turntable back. Most of the time when we think of doing a trellis style design, we think about having maybe 2 or 3 pieces straight up and down of something like river cane, or in this case, these are apple shoots. So I have apple trees at my house, and my husband goes out every spring and cuts the runners off the top and throws them on the burn pile, and then I run out behind him and I take them all off the burn pile and then I save them. So a lot of times when you think about a trellis, like in your yard, maybe you have clematis or something, honeysuckle growing up. It's flat, it's very one-dimensional. But what I wanted to do was show you that the trellis doesn't have to be just there to support things. It can, but it can also be dimensional. So you notice as I turn it, it's got depth. You can really see front to back in it. All of my bindings where I've connected the sticks or the twigs are on the back of the design, and I've left the ends so you can see that. I will go in and clip them off for a much cleaner finish, but I did all of them so they face the back. So from the front, all you're going to see is just a tiny little bit of bind wire, which honestly blends right in with the branches themselves. So this would be another armature design where I don't hide it. I don't want to hide this structure. I want this to shine. So this would be sometime when I could use very few flowers again, but I still have big impact, right? So I probably won't finish this before we're out of time today, but I'll get it started and then you'll be able to see it afterwards. Ricky will have pictures, and at least you'll have seen, to me, the important part, which was the structure itself. Got some really lovely Alstroemeria here. You know, Alstro's having a moment again, I feel. When I first started in floristry, this was a workhorse, man. You had Alstro for everything. It was affordable. It came in a lot of colors. It was easy to work with. And then, you know, just as with everything else, it goes out of favor, but it's starting to come back in, and I like it. I'm happy about that. So I'm just looking for some nice blooms, nice forward facing, not a lot of leaves, too many leaves, don't want the leaves. And I don't want to disguise my armature. I don't want the depth to be lost because I fill it full of flowers. Yeah, we sell flowers, I get that. But sometimes the customers just want something different. And I'm all for giving the customers what they want. So I guess my takeaway for you guys today is give armatures a second look. Don't think of them just purely from a mechanical standpoint. Look at them from a decorative standpoint, and look at them with interesting materials, unique materials, materials that you're familiar with. Maybe not necessarily the materials aren't unique, but you've used them in a unique manner. And show your customers something new, right? Give them something to talk about. Give your competition something to talk about too. So I hope that you all enjoyed today. Got a little peek inside Michelle's mind. I'm sorry for that part. But I hope you saw some interesting techniques maybe, or something that sparked some interest that you want to explore on your own. If you are really excited, come to Flower School. Come join us. We would love to have you visit us here in Portland. Our classroom is in a really great part of town. It's very walkable, lots of access to activities. If you can't come to Portland, come online. Join us in the online program. Same curriculum, same lessons. You've got amazing online teachers, Dub and Michael and Leanne. I'm in there on occasion too. So come do something you love with us in Portland, or join us online to do something you love. I'm going to finish this up, and Ricky will have photos for you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks for coming today. Bye.